everybody. Welcome to Grandma Roseanne's kitchen, and we are going to make this, which is a classic French sandwich loaf. Oh my goodness, it's called a pain de mie, and it is just an exquisite loaf to make. So you watch, and I think you're going to love it. Good morning, it's Grandma Roseanne, and we're going to make a classic French sandwich loaf today. It's called pain de mie, and it's a beautiful, beautiful loaf, and it has a couple of different twists to it, which I will show you as we go along. But it's very basic, and if you have watched any of my bread videos and you have watched the preliminary steps, any of you can bake bread. I don't care if it's artesian, if it's a honey loaf, if it's white bread, if it's sourdough. If you follow my videos, I honestly will tell you, it is so simple to make bread. It's just that you have a few steps that can kind of kill you in the beginning. So you got to be careful of that. Now, I'm using bread flour. I always use bread flour. Can you make it with regular flour? Yes. Is it going to be as good? No. It's not going to rise as well. It's not going to have the flavor or the texture. So I'm putting that into my mixer. If you don't have a KitchenAid or a mixer of any kind, put it in a bowl. I'm going to show you how to do it by hand. And then I put 7 ounces of warm water in here. The water temperature is crucial. If it is cold, it is not going to allow the yeast to activate. So you want to have it between 95 degrees and 110 degrees. If you don't have a thermometer, stick your finger in the water. If it's the right temperature that you would feed that to a baby, you're good to go. So this is actually right here. If you can see, that's where 7.5 ounces of water would be. The remainder of this, and you can see this, is 2 teaspoons of yeast. Now you want to incorporate that, mix it around. I just use a chopstick. Mix it around, and the yeast is very important. I'm using a packaged yeast that I get from Costco. It's 5 pounds, or no, I think it's 2 pounds of yeast. I just put it in a bag like this, put it in my freezer, it'll last for years. But if you're going to use a packaged yeast, you can get one of these. It's 1 envelope. So it's 1 envelope, or it's 2 teaspoons of yeast. Now you're going to let this activate, so it's best to let it sit here for at least 10 minutes. And look at what it has done in 10 minutes. Then we're going to add that whole thing. I don't want to waste any of that beautiful yeast in there. I enjoy baking bread so much. I love the way it makes my house smell. I love that everyone I share a loaf with is thrilled to have it. And I think it just makes quality sandwiches. Now I'm just going to mix that up a little bit just to get it kind of going there. Not doing anything too spectacular. Now to this I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of sugar. And once again, sugar is going to help activate that yeast. I have 2 ounces of warm milk. And again, watch the temperature. You don't want anything killing your yeast. I'm going to mix it up just a little bit. Now here I have 2 ounces of warm butter. Warm butter is kind of essential, especially if you're doing this by hand without a mixer, because it's just so much easier to manipulate the dough when that butter is warm. Now, after this has been kind of mixed together, I'm putting in, get out of there, 1.5 teaspoons of salt. Now you want to be sure that you don't pour your salt right on top of your yeast, because they are not friends, they are not buddies, they don't like each other, and the salt will try to kill your yeast. So avoid the war. Get it mixed in, and then add your salt. Now at this point, you can just dump this out onto your counter and start kneading it. I am going to use my mixer, simply because it's so much easier and faster. I'm going to knead it for about 5 minutes. If you're doing this by hand or even if you're using a mixer, either way, what you're wanting to do is just create a nice ball. It'll pull away from the sides and it'll be a nice ball. Doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be totally smooth. You just want it to be pulled away and create a ball. Alexa, time 5 minutes. Okay, my 5 minutes is up. Now I'm going to show you, I'm going to spray my counter just a little bit with some olive oil. I'm going to show you what this dough should look like. And I'm going to show you how to knead in case you haven't done that before by hand. There. See how clean my bowl is? That's what you're looking for. Now, if you're kneading by hand, you have got all that flour and milk and mess on your counter. That's okay. You're just going to start doing this. Bring it in, push it out. Bring it in, push it out. Bring it in. You're using the palms of your hand to push it out. Now, after you have done this for a while, you're going to know, oh my goodness, what really fine dough feels like. And this is outrageous. Now I'm going to kind of smooth it into a ball. I have a bowl here which I'm going to spray with some olive oil. Now after you have kneaded yours and it looks something like this, pop it in there. A little bit of oil on the top. Plastic wrap. And if your house is really warm, just leave it on your counter for an hour to an hour and a half, depending on the temperature of your kitchen, okay? Now what I do is I kick my oven up for just 2 minutes at 200 degrees, shut it off. Open the door, let that excess heat come out, but that oven is nicely warmed. And I will put this in there and it does beautifully to help rise my dough. All right, so an hour to an hour and a half, you're going to judge it. It should be at least double in size. And then I will be back. Okay, my kitchen was warm, so my dough was able to rise in that 1 hour period and doesn't look beautiful. Just look at that. What I'm going to do now is just spray a little bit of oil onto my counter, a little bit onto my hands so I can work with it. I'm going to release the dough. You guys, this is outrageous. And from this point, we don't have to do too much. We really don't. You're going to pick up an edge, bring it in. Pick up an edge, bring it in. Just like this. Bringing it into the center. Honestly, I will tell you this is one of the simplest bread doughs I've ever made. Okay, now then, I'm going to tighten it up a little bit. And I'm going to let that just sit for just a minute because I want to work with the pan. Now this being a classic French loaf that we're making, I'm using the classic French mold. Do you have to have this? Absolutely not. Can you go ahead and make this in a regular loaf pan? Of course you can. But I just thought it was kind of fun. I got on Amazon, very inexpensive actually. And I can see making a lot of really fun breads in this. I always use the package wrapper for my butter to go ahead and grease my pan. It's a non-stick, but I just think a little bit of prevention here is wonderful. Alrighty, and I'm going to grease the underside of this. All right, now our mold is ready. We are going to roll this out to a rectangle. I will honestly tell you, this is one of the finest doughs. Unbelievably beautiful. You're going to want to measure because it needs to fit in there, remember? All right, now just roll it. No magic done here. When you get to the bottom, bring it over, pinch it. You want to seal it. And pop it into the mold. Just like that. This is important. We're going to slide our top on, and we're going to leave maybe about a little finger opening there. You want this to rise about a 1/2 inch to a 1/4 inch from the top, because as it bakes, it's going to rise that little bit more. So you want to be able to watch this so it doesn't get too expanded. So we're going to leave this. It should be probably another 30 to 40 minutes to an hour, depending on your temperature. I will be back. Now, as it went into the oven, what I did, or actually before it went into the oven, as it was rising that last hour, I turned my oven up to 400 degrees for the hour. I did put a pizza peel in there. You don't have to do that, but I thought it would give it a more even heat. And then let it heat, and when the hour was up of rising, I popped it into an extremely hot oven. So we're now waiting for the results. Well, here we are, and it's time for the unveiling. We will slide this little puppy off. Oh, it's perfect. Look at that. Oh, I'm so excited. I don't know if you can clearly, let me try to get a little bit closer to you, if you can clearly see all the markings on the bread, but it's so decorative. It's really pretty. Oh, this is gonna be fun. Now then, this is where patience comes in. Do not cut it. Do not cut it at this point. Let it sit for at least 2 hours. It's a long time when you're waiting for bread so that you can sample it, but it'll help a lot. If you cut it while it's too hot, it just really, the crumb isn't correct. It just really condenses the crumb and compresses the crumb. You really don't want that to happen. So once you feel all the heat has gone, you're good to cut it, and we will come back for the final, okay? Well, I sincerely believe we have been very patient. We have waited long enough, and now we need to see what we have created here. So, all the heat is out. I waited enough time. Can you hear the crust? The crust is good. Now, the important thing is, what about the crumb? Perfection! Oh my goodness. Absolute perfection. But we know it's all about taste. So let's do a little bit of this and see what we have created. It's very flavorful. It's very hearty. It has a wonderful substance to it. Oh boy, it has got a really nice aftertaste. It's kind of a back taste. Oh, it's delicious, you guys. What I'm going to do with this is I'm going to make a Monte Cristo. So probably on the next video, because I just had to make the bread first and then I wanted to make the Monte Cristo. So you will be able to see how to do that as well. This, I think, is extraordinary. I think it's a beautiful bread. I don't know that there's anything easier that you can make than this bread, and it's delicious. And I love it that it's actually square. And you did that by getting the mold. So thank you so much for watching. Subscribe, come back, hit the bell so you know when I'm videotaping again, and have a great day. We're gonna go make some Monte Cristos. Bye.